Yeah, I'm good.
Can you do it with one hand?
Yes. I mean, it would. No, this is fine.
Okay, great.
Bolbo. Bolbo. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Deva Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. In Indian classical dance and music, the place of a guru is right next to God. The classical dances of India are rich, complex, oral traditions that have been handed down from teacher to disciple for centuries, making the Guru Shishya Parampara integral to their performance and practice. Today, it is my honor and privilege to introduce one such guru, Dr. Kaustubi Sarkar. Kaustubi Sarkar is an assistant professor at the Department of Dance at University of North Carolina at Charlotte. She is also an accomplished dancer, choreographer, educator, and scholar. Dedicated to serving the Indian classical dance form of Odissi for over 25 years, Kaustubi Sarkar is a disciple of Guru Poushali Mukherjee, Guru Ratikant Mohapatra, and Guru Sujata Mohapatra. Currently, she is the artistic director of an Indian-based organization dedicated to feminist, queer, and transnational issues pertaining to Indian classical dance called Kaustuvi Movement Center. She has also taught at Kenyon College and at the Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Deva Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. In Indian classical dance and music, the place of a guru is right next to God. The classical dances of India are rich, complex, oral traditions that have been handed down from teacher to disciple for centuries, making the Guru Shishya Parampara integral to their performance and practice. Today, it is my honor and privilege to introduce one such guru, Dr. Kaustubi Sarkar. Kaustubi Sarkar is an assistant professor at the Department of Dance at University of North Carolina at Charlotte. She is an accomplished dancer, choreographer, educator, and scholar. Dedicated to serving the Indian classical dance form of Odissi for 25 years, Kaustubi Sarkar is the disciple of Guru Poushali Mukherjee, Guru Ratikant Mohapatra, and Guru Sujata Mohapatra. Currently, she is the artistic director of an India-based organization dedicated to feminist, queer, and transnational issues pertaining to Indian classical dance called Kaustubi Movement Center. She has also taught at Kenyon College and at the Ohio State University, from where she also received her PhD in dance studies. Kaustubi has performed in numerous dance festivals all across the globe and presented her scholarly creative research in conferences, including the World Dance Alliance and South Asian Studies Conference, and many other conferences. She also serves as the board member of the American College Dance Association. I can go on and on about Kaustubi's achievements, but today we are here for another very special reason. Today, it is our pleasure to have Kaustubi amongst us to present two of her very talented disciples, Shalini Basu and Tanisha Mukherjee, as they prepare for their Mancha Pravesh. For students of classical dance form, Odissi, the Mancha Pravesh is a defining moment and culmination of years of hard work and preparation. It is the equivalent of a graduation ceremony, but instead of a gown and cap, the dancer dons their traditional dance costume and undertakes their first solo performance. We are extremely excited for our very own Shalini and Tanisha's Mancha Pravesh, performing the classical Indian dance form Odissi under the guidance of their guru Kaustubi Mashi. Let me now call on stage Guru Kaustubi Sarkar to introduce her disciples and start the much-awaited recitals. Kaustubi.
Thank you so much, Chumkidi. Thank you. The first piece will be performed by Tanisha. Nabadurga, an invocation of strength and surrender. Nabadurga belongs to the Odissi dance canon. It is choreographed by the none other Odissi maestro, Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra. This piece depicts the strength of Durga, a theological character known for fighting against injustice. Tanisha ends with describing the 9 forms of Durga, Nabadurga.
The following dance piece is Navadurga, extracted from the verses of Bhagavati Stotram, written by Ved Vyasa. This is an invocatory prayer to goddesses Durga, the deity that epitomizes power as well as beauty in different aspects. As a goddess, she is shown in her beautiful and compassionate form, adorned with various jewels. She is also seen as the Mahishashura Mardini, the slayer of demon Mahishashura, with her weapons held in her 10 arms that she possesses. This choreography has been set to Rag Bhairavi and Tal Jyoti 14 beats. Choreography has been done by the legendary Guru Sri Kelucharan Mohapatra, and music has been composed by Sri Harihar Panda.
Invocation is a celebration of the monsoon by Shalini. This piece is a rhythmic exploration of the melodic mode, Raaga Mia Malhar. It describes the clouds, the rains, the fauna, the flora, and human yearning for love during the monsoon season. It borrows poetic verses from canonical literature, Geetagovindam by poet Jayadeva and Meghdutam by none other than Kalidasa. It describes the rains, the Varsha. The choreography is by my first guru, Guru Poushali Mukherjee. Varsha by Shalini Basu.
भुवः शमस्त द्रुमयि नरकतं भिरोरयं त्वमेव तदेमां राधे गृहं प्रापया इति था नन्दने देशिताश्चलितो प्रत्याध्वकुञ्जद्रुमं राधा 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 माधवयो जयन्ती जमुना कूले राह pa ga ma re sa re re pa pa ga ma re sa re la la re pa ga ma re sa re re pa pa ga ma re sa re la la re pa ga ma re sa re re pa ni ma pa ma pa ni da ni sa ni sa ga ma re sa ni da ni sa 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 ni pa ma ga ma re sa sa ni ma ni pa ma pa ni da ni sa re pa ma pa ga ma re sa ma ni da ni sa ri ni sa ma pa ni da ni sa 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 ta ki ja tu na ki ja sa ta ki ja tu na ki ja ta ki ja tu na ki ja re ma ga ma re ma pa ni da ni pa ni sa ri ni sa ni pa ma ga ma re sa re ma pa ni da ni sa sa re ma pa ni da ni sa sa re ma pa ni da ni sa pa ga ma re sa pa ga ma re sa re ma pa ni sa pa ga ma re sa pa ga ma re sa re ma pa ni sa pa ga ma re sa pa ga ma re sa re ma pa ni sa re re pa 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 ga ma re 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 sa re 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 pa ga ma re 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 pa 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 ga ma re 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 sa re re pa ga ma re 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 pa 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 ga ma re 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 sa re re pa ga ma re re शक्ष्यति त्वं रिक्ता सर्वभवति लघु पूर्णता गौरवाय
The next piece is by Tanisha, Sakhi Hai. It is another iconic choreography by Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra. Radha, a female character in South Asia, tells her Sakhi, friend, to take her message to her lover, Krishna. Radha Krishna's love affair is a metaphor for the aspiring human to attain spiritual liberation. The connection metaphorically expresses divine connection. The dance is an intricate choreography of subtle expressions and nuanced emotions. Radha confides in her Sakhi, her friend, her nocturnal escapades to meet her lover, her first kiss, her first intimate encounter. At the end, Radha convinces Sakhi to take her heart-filled message to Krishna, asking him to come to Radha. Sakhi Hai by Tanisha.
चाटुशतैरनुकूलं मृदुमधुरास्मिता भाषितया
Durga as epitome of strength and grace. This dance continues to thematically explore the powerful image of Durga through her strength and beauty. The dance devotes the first half to exploring centering and grounding in grace, while the second half is all about the practicality of winning a war against evil via the deployment of weapons and a show of strength. Durga by Shalini. It is a choreography by Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra. We now have a short presentation by Narayani Mukherjee. She is the executive director of a community-based dance organization called Sai Nritya Sangam, and she is also the mother of one of our dancers, Tanisha Mukherjee. Thank you.
बाजलो तोमार आलोर बेनु मातलो रे भुवन बाजलो तोमार आलोर बेनु आज প্রভাতে শিশুর শুনে খুলে দিন
The next piece is Hamsadhvani Pallavi. This is a rhythmic detailing of multiple percussive strategies such as call and response, temporal play, and lagged movements. The dance is an iconic choreography in the field of Odissi by Sri Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra and well known for its fast-paced as well as lyrical simplicity. Hamsadhvani Pallavi by Tanisha. The next piece is Ardhanarishwara, a choreography by Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra. Ardhanarishwara, half male, half female, is an androgynous form that describes the beauty and the strength embedded in both spectrums of the male and female energies. It shows the beautiful union of these two energies that leads to renewal and birth. The dance depicts the ornamental, the charismatic, the grotesque, and the plain in sheer choreographic brilliance. Ardhanarishwara by Shalini Basu.
मुखलास्य कायै प्रपञ्च सृष्ट्यन् मुखलास्य कायै प्रपञ्च सृष्ट्यन् मुखलास्य कायै समस्त संहार प्रताण्डवाय समस्त संहार प्रताण्डवाय ताण्डवाय 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 जगज्जनन्यै जगज्जनन्यै जगदेकपित्रे जगज्जनन्यै जगदेकपित्रे नमः शिवायै च नमः शिवाय नमः शिवायै च नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय प्रदीप्तरत्नोज्ज्वलकुण्डलाय स्फुरन् महापातकभूषणाय स्फुरन् महापातकभूषणाय शिवान्वितायै च शिवान्विताय शिवान्वितायै च शिवान्विताय
The next piece is Naja Jamuna. This choreography is by Guru Bichitrananda Swami. Here, Sakhi, or the friend, speaks to Radha, asking her to not go and meet Krishna. Sakhi is worried that Krishna will break Radha's heart and warns her. This piece is in Oriya, which is the regional language of Orissa. Naja Jamuna by Tanisha.
এবার যে যেতে বাড়ি নাহান্তি তীরে সকালি এবার যে যেতে বাড়ি নাহান্তি তীরে সকালি এবার যে যেতে বাড়ি নাহান্তি তীরে সকালি তোহঠারে লাখিছি তোহঠারে লাখিছি তোহঠারে লাখিছি তোহঠারে লাখিছি কামন সিনা নজা যমুনা লোসহি নজা যমুনা নজা যমুনা লোসহি নজা যমুনা ঘাট জগি বসিছি সে ঘাট জগি বসিছি সে ছইল কানা নজা যমুনা রে সহি নজা যমুনা নজা যমুনা রে সহি নজা যমুনা নজা যমুনা রে সহি নজা যমুনা নজা যমুনা নজা যমুনা
Shalini and Tanisha will together celebrate their learning and friendship and community and dance. The last piece is Moksha, a choreography by Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra. This piece culminates the ending of the Odissi repertoire. It is presented as a duet adaptation of a solo composition. The piece marks the spiritual trajectory of the evening as the dancer seeks and gestures towards a salvific ending with centering, grounding, balancing, and a calm disposition. Moksha.
Namaste. 'O' 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 '
The final dance piece is where the Guru dances. This piece is Amrita Mantha, and the choreography is by Guru Aruna Mohanty. This dance is about the right to freedom of voice and expression. The dancer seeks the blessings of Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of learning, to regain the freedom to think, to speak, and to act freely after regimes of oppression. Colonialism in India led to the destruction of the textile industry. The choreography describes the oppressor taking away physical and intellectual freedom. The dancer seeks the strength to re-emerge, dawning on a new era of civilization and progress. Using the metaphor of a young bird taking flight, the dance reveals individual and communal freedom. Amrita Mantha by Guru Aruna Mohanty.
कुंदेन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्र वस्त्राप्रिता या वीणा वरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेत पद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्कर प्रभृतिभिः देवै सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती वरदे 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 वीणावादिनी वरदे वरदे वीणावादिनी वरदे वरदे.
The poet says, when the motherland was in shackles and imprisoned by the oppressors, there was no freedom of thought, of speech, and of action. And he prays, O Mother, bless us to have the courage to think, to speak up, and to act freely, so that the vibration of our voices resonates throughout the world.
प्रिय स्वतंत्र रव अमृत मंत्र नव प्रिय स्वतंत्र रव अमृत मंत्र नव प्रिय स्वतंत्र रव. प्रिय स्वतंत्र रव अमृत मंत्र नव प्रिय स्वतंत्र रव अमृत मंत्र नव प्रिय स्वतंत्र रव अमृत मंत्र नव भारत में वरदे वीणावादिनी वरदे वरदे वीणावादिनी वरदे वरदे.
धा तिन्ना
तधा तिन्द
किटितक तेरे किटिता तकिट धान
तकिट धान तक तिरि कटि तक धा
तकिट धकिट धिनी तक
तकिट तकिट तिनि तक
तकिट धकिट धिनी तक
तकिट तकिट तिनि तक धा तकिट धा तकिट धा तकिट धा धा धा
धा त्रिकृत धा 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 त्रिकृत धा तधा
प्रकाशवर जगमग जग कर दे जगमग जग कर दे वीणा वादिनी वरदे वरदे वीणा वादिनी वरदे वरदे नवगति नवलया ताल छंद नव नवगति नवलय ताल छंद नव नवल कंठ नव जलद मंत्र नव नवल कंठ नव जलद मंत्र नव नवगति नवलय ताल छंद नव नवल कंठ नव जलद मंत्र नव नव नभ के नव विहग वृंद को नव नभ के नव विहग वृंद को नव पर नव स्वर दे नव पर नव स्वर 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 रे वीणा वादिनी वरदे वरदे वीणा वादिनी वरदे वरदे वीणा वादिनी वरदे वरदे वीणा वादिनी वरदे वरदे
I now want to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Maithili Srinivas. Dr. Srinivas was my professor when I was completing my PhD at The Ohio State University. She started learning Bharatnatyam at a young age from Srimati Nalini Ayagiri. She then lived in India to study with Shri Adyar K. Lakshman. She studied Kuchipudi with Shri Vempati Chinna Satyam. Dr. Srinivas is a professor at The Ohio State University in Women's and Gender Studies as well as in history. Her work centers on the history of modern South Asia with a focus on women's and gender history, the history of sexuality and the family, colonialism and nationalism, and the cultural and political economy of reproduction. Broadly speaking, she is fascinated by how certain gendered norms that we often assume are constant are changing and unchanging, such as about family kinship, reproduction, sexuality, or love, are actually deeply intertwined with historical change in the modern world. Her first book, Wives, Widows, and Concubines, The Conjugal Family Ideal in Colonial India, aimed to place the family at the center of early 20th century history. Her current book project, Reproductive Politics and the Making of Modern India, forthcoming 2021, asks how biological reproduction as a process of reproducing human life became central to reproducing India as a modern nation state. I request Dr. Srinivas to please be our first guest in the panel discussion. Oh, come on. You're looking lovely. Please sit. Yes. You could sit, yeah, anywhere. Yeah. Tanisha, Shalini. Yes, please sit. So this is what a panel discussion looks like when it's live, YouTube streamed and socially distanced. So again, thank you so much for coming, Maithili. So Maithili, thank you again for coming. So my question to you, again, this panel is very loosely around celebrating dance community and perhaps Indian dance in the US diaspora. And I have taken your courses in, in women's studies, and so there is that critical angle, and your research as well. So there is that critical angle to reproducing the docile female body through these aspects of dance graduations. And there are dance scholars like Priya Srinivasan who have spoken about it, who have written about it at length, pertaining to Bharatanatyam in particular. So as a scholar, but also as an artist who has gone through that process yourself, and as a mother who has gone through that process for Meena, will you please share your thoughts about this with us?
Sure. I think first, because we've just watched a performance, I have to say congratulations to Tanisha and Shalini for just a fabulous, fabulous job. So your guru didn't pose that as the first question, but I'm going to throw that in anyway. And congratulations to you too. It's an absolutely outstanding performance, and it was such a joy to watch. So that's the first thing. And congratulations to you too, Kostavi. I see in them so much of your dance. So you should be very pleased by that, and you should be really honored by that, because I really do. I do see her work in what you are showing. So absolutely fantastic. Hopefully you can all understand me with the mask on. Okay. So I think in response to your question, there's always so much going on in the art, in what you're doing, right? So we can talk about, if you want, sort of the production of a particular kind of docile body in and through dance, right? you have to look this way, you have to be this way, you have to move this way, you have to shape your body to a vision that perhaps doesn't originate from you, right? So I think that's true. But I would ask, what else are you doing? So even in your performance, and I'd really like to hear what you both have to say or how you feel about this. But what I saw in the pieces that you all selected for today is sort of multiple different ways to think about the gendered body, right? So you have that first, it wasn't the first piece, but it was the first in my mind in relation to this from the Geetagovindam piece, which I think was Tanisha, right? And then there was the Ardhanarishvara piece. Then there's that fascinating piece, which I always love, the second to last one, right? About sort of transforming the relationship between the Sakhi and Radha. Like, what is going on there? Why does she not want her to go, right? What kind of relationship do they have that becomes at the center of this piece rather than a relationship between Krishna and Radha, right? And then, of course, there's the various Durga pieces in the beginning, and there was another one partway through. So there's sort of multiple models of femininity in these pieces, each of which I think has a different embodiment in a certain kind of way, right? And so that you are being asked to embody these different visions of femininity and masculinity, which I think can be like a really powerful and liberating kind of tool. So yes, there is the docile body, but what else is happening, right? And where are the spaces that you are finding, and in Kaustavi's last piece as well, right? Where are the spaces that you are all finding to play with these different ideas and to think through these different ideas about femininity and masculinity and gender more broadly? So I don't know if you want to bring them in right from the get-go, but I'd be happy to hear what you both think about that.
Do you guys have any thoughts about it? Shalini, Tanisha?
You want to go first? You can go. Okay. So you were right. Like, I feel like most of the pieces that I have done so far, it mostly portrays femininity, and especially when I'm one of the pieces, I have to switch from Radha to Krishna when she's telling her friend, like, please, like, ask Krishna. So I feel like that switch that you have to make from a woman to a man, and like you have to portray yourself like stronger, like, you know, with more pride than like what you play as Radha. But then again, when you're playing Durga, it's the same thing. You're playing a strong woman. It's like that quick switch that you have to do. Like, you have to embody the character as you're playing it. So what I try to do is like, I try to think like what the character would be like going through and like thinking about. So I think that's how I make that like quick switch as I'm like dancing. But it's also like fascinating how like Odissi like tells you like how to like portray a man from a woman. Does that make sense? So like it like dance tells you how like men portray themselves differently than women do in the society too. So.
For me, like Ardhanarishwara is definitely that piece that like shows the integration yet juxtaposition of masculinity and femininity. And for me, like that, I feel like that piece was very like just learning about like divine femininity and divine masculinity did a lot for me as like a person in general, like day to day, kind of like understanding the fact that like there really is like a blurred line, like it really isn't white or black between masculinity and femininity. And I found it fascinating that in Odissi, like just the mudras were able to like classify it with like divine femininity and divine masculinity. Like Katakamuka, like we kind of associate that with femininity, and like various mudras we associate with the different energies that we associate with gender. And I think that's like really powerful and really interesting as well.
Like one more thing, when you're doing Ardhanarishwara, it also like goes to show that like a person can embody both like a female and a male perspective in themselves. So I feel like that's what like Ardhanarishwara like does a really good job like portraying that through dance. So yeah, no one is either just male or female. Like they have like both type of genders in between them and within them. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. And the things that you're describing around fluidity, right, in a space that in some ways this can be seen as a very sort of female space, like if I think about who's here and who is often in these spaces. But there is a really interesting constant shifting, like you're both talking about, right? This kind of fluidity of gender that really comes out in the pieces that you selected today, for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all your thoughts. So we initially had thought of having scholars who would all be on the same platform through Zoom, but what we are trying to do is we are going to introduce them and they are going to be live streamed. So I'm going to introduce the next panel discussant, Dr. Ann Dills, Professor and Chair of the Department of Dance at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Dr. Dills is a dance historian with strong interests in movement analysis, feminist theory, and research methods and cultural studies. She's working on a collection of essays about vernacular dance in New York City in the mid-1930s. With that, I will ask the crew to play Dr. Dills' video. Thank you.
There are many options, and of course I want to speak most specifically about our BA degree at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, because I think it's a way of thinking about dance degrees that will be more prevalent in universities. Of course, there are so many options now in dance, and they include Bachelor of Arts degrees. Our particular degree allows people to double major quite easily while pursuing dance education. We also have a BFA degree, which is more of a studio investment in dance. And then, of course, there are a lot of different modes of graduate degrees now. We don't have one at Charlotte yet, although an MFA is coming for UNC Charlotte. But you can get higher ed degrees, master's degrees, Master of Fine Arts degrees, and doctoral degrees in dance now. And again, the notion of what the field is very broad. When I was coming up in dance departments, you studied modern dance in higher education, and that was its emphasis. As I have gone on to teach in higher ed, there are now all kinds of departments whose emphasis is broad. Ours is very broad, so I'll talk about it. We have a three-part emphasis on dance in the African diaspora, in ballet, and in modern dance. And again, we hope to serve the needs of individual students. So there are many double majors in our particular program: dance and marketing, dance and women's and gender studies, dance and English, what have you, with people thinking about degrees in dance therapy, for example, or arts marketing through graduate education or employment. So I think that's a sketch. I think dance departments now are wonderful ways to find yourself as an individual pursuing some sort of a professional life. And they are also wonderful ways to learn about communities and the world. UNC Charlotte happens to be an urban research university. And in dance, that designation has meant that we help make Charlotte a more interesting place. We help solve problems in Charlotte, and we help make better lives for people in the Charlotte region. And one of those ways of making better lives is to help introduce people to people in their own communities that they might not know, or happenings around the world that they might not know about. And that is one thing, Kostafi, that you have been a wonderful aspect of our department. helping us make relationships with Odissi in particular, and Indian dance and the broad Indian dance community all around the world in general. So I think, Kastavi, the way you have approached dance in higher ed is a real model for all of us. So thank you for the invitation to talk, and thank you for your work. So the core of the question has to do with current dance training and how it interacts with maybe formal dance education in the university. Good question, Kastavi. I think that that we need more thought and integration about that question. I know in the university we're currently in a kind of reactive space. Many dance students in the United States are trained through competition dance studios. Those studios teach a whole vocabulary of techniques that we don't necessarily respond to at the university level. And so we're left trying to either re-educate students to convince them that we know what dance is, or to re-educate ourselves so that we can respond to their definitions and bodily trainings of what dance is. And I think we might make a broader analogy to people who come into dance higher ed with other kinds of trainings. Certainly Odissi might be one of those trainings, West African dance, hip hop. There's a whole list of practices that people embrace and love and that have professional outcomes for those things that the university doesn't necessarily or isn't ready yet to respond to. I think that maybe a point of departure is that often, at least in US dance training, there's very little emphasis growing up on what the tradition is, what its history is, how it contributes to the social dialogue about who men are, who women are, how people identify themselves. And so higher education perhaps is an opportunity to add physical training to intellectual training and helping people really understand what it is when they step on a stage or contribute to a social occasion or a religious occasion in a bodily way. What kinds of representations of human beings are conveyed through dancing? I think that's enough of an answer, Kastavi. Thank you.
No, thank you, Anne. Thank you. So if I may just prod along a little more, when we are doing a graduation, right? When we're celebrating the graduation of a degree, a dance degree, dance education degree, a dance performance degree, we do have certain rigorous standards, right? The way the academic standards work. But however, I wonder about the sustainability piece, right? Like if you graduate with an engineering degree, you have a whole host of infrastructure to help you succeed in future, right? I'm coming from that end of the spectrum because I often Dr. Priya Srinivasan, she has mentioned in her book Sweating Saris how these graduation recitals of the Indian diaspora dancers, that marks the end of their career, right? That's the peak. And that's unfortunate, right? Because the way it works is that's the beginning. So I wonder about that sustainability piece, if you can respond to it.
Making a commitment to being a dance professional is a dicey kind of proposition. Yes, we can be lifelong learners in dance, But that often means a lifelong commitment to paying for classes, paying for our own marketing as a performer, what have you. Perhaps one answer is the creation of community in which people give and take, learn from each other, help each other, create performances, market themselves, and sustain those loves of dance. I don't know how the professional dance world works for Indian dance, but I have the sense in the United States that ballet dancers, for example, either make a choice very young at 16, 17, 18 to go into the professional world and put off other kinds of education, or to be, again, lifelong devotees and learners in that particular field. Yes, I think community is one kind of answer to it. I think you're creating other kinds of answers by making online community, but how to answer the piece of the economics of being a professional or not being a professional, I think that is indeed a sustainability question.
So, Maithili, if I may request you to respond to what Dr. Dill just mentioned. So in terms of this encountering dance in higher education, but you've also encountered dance the traditional way, and you have extensive experience of seeing how the Indian diaspora also works. So could you speak a little bit towards the sustainability angle?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an excellent question that requires a lot of thought, because I think the point you were making in your question, which is about this graduation is often seen as the end when it actually should be or could be the beginning. So where are the spaces in our communities to do that work? I don't have an answer to that question, but I think I am really curious about what university spaces can offer in the direction of lifelong learning. Because of course not everybody who does a performance like this is going to become a professional dancer, and that's not necessarily everyone's goal. But what can a university space offer to foster these kind of communities around dance, maybe, that can make it more sustainable? So I'll just share with my own experience briefly that having learned dance in a very sort of traditional way, I certainly felt that it was something that I needed to move on from or move away from in order to do my own higher education and my own graduate degree and my own profession. And I have Kaustavi in part to thank for bringing me back to the dance department at OSU. And I think you've done a phenomenal job of making connections between the academic spaces around dance, which are often about forms of analysis and critique, that are, those conversations often occur at a remove from a community event that has to do with dance. And bridging that dialogue, I think, is immensely difficult. I'm sure you have found it to be so. And so for much of my own life, I kept them in two separate places. You know, the kind of academic conversation that I would occasionally have in the dance department, since I'm not in the dance department myself, and then the kind of community spaces in which I would really be able to engage in my love of dance, right? As an audience member, as a mom who has kids who learn dance, or attending a performance like this. So that's the question, right? That is precisely the question. But I wonder about whether the university space can push us, and I see that it has already in this example, right? Can sort of push us to be asking those questions of ourselves more directly. Like, what do we aim to achieve when you do a Mancha Pravesh, right? What are your goals? What are your teachers' goals? And how can a community be built around that So this is a sort of a solo performance. You did your pieces for the most part individually, and I think that's something to talk about too within sort of classical dance. But within the classical repertoire of solo piece, where is the room as well for working together and building community solidarities and living in dance through those community spaces, I think, may be one that the university can help to foster as well, because it also creates communities around dance.
So do you want to take a sneak peek at this thought that we are all, is this the end? Is this the beginning? What is it, Shalini, Tanisha? Don't be scared of me. I love you anyway.
So you want to go? Okay. I think for me, like, Odissi has like provided me a lot. I can't promise that I'll be like dancing every weekend after this, but like
I'm not very happy about that.
Hey, you said they could answer in any way.
But I do think like having done this since I was like a preteen, I think like it's done a lot for me, not just like community-wise. I think like the friendship that Tanisha and I have, it's not even like, it's more of like a sisterhood than anything, and it wouldn't have even existed if it wasn't for this art form. And I think the fact that like Odissi isn't the type of thing where there's like an Odissi studio on every corner. It's not like ballet or any sort of like Western style of dance. You're able to build a really like tight community through it, and I think that's really, really powerful. And yeah.
Yeah, so for me, this is not the end or the beginning. I think of it as like the journey in the middle. So this is my middle journey right here. I do want to like proceed and like learn more, like, and continue with this dance form, of course. And as Shalini said, like, our friendship is like, this friendship started because of dance. I literally met her through dance. And there are also other friendships that I have built with like other people through dance. And like, it has like connected me with lots of people, especially Koseimashi. Like, I'm so happy that I'm under her guidance, and like, she has like, through dance has like opened doors for me and like made me, like, introduced me to different like scholars and like different stages, which has like definitely helped with my character development and social skills. So I definitely don't think this is the end or the beginning for me. This is just the middle ground, and there's gonna be more to come in the future, so yeah.
Awesome. So I do want to introduce our next panelist. Our next panelist is Jane D'Angelo, and she serves as the Ohio Dance Executive Director since 2003. And Ohio Dance is a marketing collaborator for this particular performance. D'Angelo is a board member of Ohio Citizens for the Arts and Dance USA, serving as the Service Council Chair and a partner in the newly formed Collaborative for Arts Education in Ohio. She is the project director for the National Endowment for the Arts and Ohio Arts Council funded project, the Ohio Dance Virtual Dance Collection, statewide, state-of-the-art dance history research for the public domain. She was a key partner in the Ohio Department of Education initiative to develop a resource and service guide for students gifted in visual and performing arts. She participated in the Executive Fellowship Program in the Academy for Leadership and Governance at the Jefferson Center, Columbus.
Hello, my name is Jane D'Angelo. I am the Executive Director of Ohio Dance. Ohio Dance inclusively supports the diverse and vibrant practice of dance of all cultures and for all capabilities. I want to thank Kastavi for inviting me here today to celebrate the occasion of your students' debut performances. Ohio is rich in its representation of cultural dance forms. Classical Indian dance can be found in major cities throughout Ohio. There are classes and public performances held in theaters to festivals. And Ohio Dance seeks to promote the many opportunities for the community to view this dance art form. Ohio Dance events highlight various classical Indian dance forms through performances and classes. It is important for the community to learn the distinction from Kathak to Odissi to Bharatanatyam, the difference in facial expressions as well as hand and foot gestures. Classical Indian dance plays an important role in the Indian community. Learning an art form that dates back 2,000 years is quite significant. I understand that your students have practiced for several hours for over 8 years. I have been following the rehearsal videos on Kastavi's Facebook page. The skillful training from Kastavi is evident in the precise movements I have seen. Your students must be commended for their dedication to rehearsals, and we look forward to seeing more from them in the future, as well as look forward to seeing them in person performing in the future. Thank you and congratulations.
I want to now introduce the last panelist, Guru Srimati Parvati Datta, a versatile Odissi and Kathak danseuze, guru and researcher, is recognized by the dance community as a thinker, dancer, and a dedicated arts administrator. She is a senior disciple of Pandit Birju Maharaj, Padma Vibhushan Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra, and Guru Madhvi Mudgal. Blessed with a graceful bearing and command on technical virtuosity, bhava, expressions, and tala, rhythm, Parvati's performances have been greatly appreciated by the connoisseurs within and outside the country. Parvati's dance displays a fine classicism of expression that stems from her rigorous training and contemplation on the tradition and many related concepts of the Indian art through her study, analysis, and close proximity with scholars and gurus.
Thank you so much, Kaustuvi. And it was so nice to listen to Anne, who spoke about, the core of why we dance, to reach out to people, to make a difference in society and community. And I think education is just a byproduct of that. To my understanding, I think since dance was one of the, right from the prehistoric times, I think dance has been one of the most instinctive and intuitive expressions of human beings. And so over centuries, our journey has been towards discovering, rediscovering, codifying, decoding, mystifying and demystifying. And then of course the journey of creating a marga, as we say in the Indian, in Sanskrit specifically, marga, which means a path. So we've had this vision of having a path, having a journey, having a goal, having a destination. And that is how the term margi was coined sometime back in the medieval period, is that something that follows the path of the seers, of the knowers, or of the preachers. So that becomes margi. But there is always scope for newer definitions and newer discoveries and newer expressions and more regional expressions within the path, within the marga. And that's how probably we came across the other part of, the other category of dancing, which is Deshi. So India being a country where we've had a very long history and a historical journey of dances, so it becomes all the more interesting and challenging to formalize something like, dance education, because I don't know from where to begin, because Kaustavi, you will agree, because when we read about or when we teach about the history of Odissi, I'm often, I go back to the prehistoric time, spiritually, intellectually, or emotionally also. I start, there is a make-believe world around me, which guides me towards some of the most innate expressions through body, towards the first discovery of how a hasta would have been created, how human mind would have thought of imitating or emulating a movement of a bird or of an animal, or a particular movement of any river or a tree or something. So I think Indian dancing, and if we are to speak about Odissi, it's about, so many, it's like a 360 degree of understanding when it goes with the technique or the expression, the whole world of creation, the whole world of understanding body, understanding the equation or the dynamics of the body, or understanding the dialogue between body and the space around. So there is so much, and then I think that is where this whole quest begins, like people of our generation who've learned under gurus, and it's always been an ever learning process to keep being reminded that our gurus were constant learners, have been constant learners. They learn from sculptures, they learn from manuscripts, they learn from their own search, their own quest, their own questions. And so for me, it has been quite a learning process also to formalize dance education with traditional dance forms. And let me also share this, that for the past 23 years, we just followed the Gurukul system, the Guru Shishya Parampara, and we were imparting training in both Odissi and Kathak dance form in the traditional way, but at the same time looking at newer frontiers, looking at research, looking at newer ways of expressing through body, re-examining the choreographic works of the gurus, and at the same time looking at newer choreographic expressions. And all this was already part of the academic scope of Odissi learning and practicing, or Kathak learning and practicing. Of late, I think last year, our parent organization, Mahatma Gandhi Mission, came up with this idea of forming a university, and that's how we are a university now. It's Mahatma Gandhi Mission University, under which we formally started the bachelor's, master's, diploma, and certificate programs in Odissi as well as in Kathak. And my search has been to establish a dialogue between various streams of dance forms, to immediately look at the history, iconography, archaeology, to look at linguistics, to look at the various forms of expressions through the body, and to again come back home with newer findings, with the parampara, with the tradition that one has been brought up with. So though we are, very much interested, and we've been working on interdisciplinary studies, and we are also working with scientists and medicine people, but at the same time, our interest has remained in rediscovering the tradition, rediscovering the Gurukul system of training. And even within the university programs, we have identified Gurukul pattern as the system of education. So this is something which is going to be very interesting for me. And as I start proceeding in this journey, it's just been 2 years now. So I'm very excited and very happy, because this is one of the ways to recontextualize what we learned and the way we learned, and at the same time keep our minds and imaginations open to newer possibilities. This is how I have felt. What we did was we had designed some few Gurukul modules of training. Like we still have it. I mean, this is now a parallel stream which will continue along with the university programs that we offer. So we have like a foundation module of around 4 years, which is like an arambha. So for 4 years, you learn the technique, or you learn Mangalacharan, Bhattu, maybe a Pallavi or something. It depends on the capability of the learner. And we encourage the learner to at least do a short small little dance offering, not exactly a Mancha Pravesh, but something in front of the audience, or maybe few gurus or experts, and they can give a small informal or in an intimate indoor, like a baitak setting, they can give a short performance. So that is also part of their assessment. We encourage them to be prepared for this. And one exercise which I always make them go through is to write about what they felt before performing. How was the process, the whole preparation? Could be the technique part of it, or the practice, or the discipline, because how you eat and how you get into this whole regime of practicing every day, and the corrections, and how do you multitask, how you deal with other things, and how did you work on the process, and then how you felt after you performed. Like, can you analyze how did your performance go, and how would you like to work on your dancing if given an opportunity to dance again? So these are just simple exercises to instill the idea of self-assessment. Ours is a Gandhian organization also. So we do also look at that kind of dialogue with yourself. Like every learner, if you can have this sense of truth and sense of honesty towards yourself, towards your own dancing, or towards your own learning, I think it greatly helps, because many a times we learn from our own shortcomings, or our own like our own strengths also, and that's how we learn to carry it forward. We want to take it further. We want to go to the next step and perform better and do more performing and more learning and all that. So that is one thing which I found over years is very interesting. And I've started incorporating the same thing in the university program also. Like I asked them to write on whatever they learned, and let there be a constant system of self-assessment also, along with the kind of assessment that is very much part of the university system of assessing progress and learning. Then towards the advanced learning, what we do is, we do have their performances. We also give them short assignments to compose. So that is an interesting part, because within the tradition, we invite them and encourage them to come up with a new piece. It could be just a short 2-minute or a 5-minute piece, and we normally try to give them an option. They can choose a music piece, they can choose a theme, they can choose a poem or a traditional song or something like that, and develop something around that. So that is to encourage them to think within the language, and to still be, I think that is the middle path. You adhere to the marga, you stick to the path, but still you have your own journey. So I think students enjoy doing that also. And then the third phase is, I call it Kshitijatit, which means beyond the horizon. So that is, once in, I think, some 10 years or 12 years of training usually, or maybe 13, 14 years of training, I asked them to come with a solo, like a full solo, in which at least one composition, one item has to be composed by them. So, and then we have people from media, we have the audiences, we have other people coming over and attending that program. I also try to look at the logistics part of it, like arranging musicians for them, and organizing rehearsals. And if they want me to be part of the process, I sometimes help them, but I usually encourage them to think aloud, think on their own, and let them discover for themselves how they enjoyed the process. So this is something which I was already doing in Mahagami Gurukul, and now with the university program. And I think now India is going through an interesting times with respect to education. I think mostly because of the COVID situation, but also because I think a couple of years back, India came up with a new education, like few guidelines with some kind of amendments. We have a choice-based credit system now. So even within the university program now, students have a choice. They can make a choice. They can look at their own major, minor, their areas of specialization. And that has greatly helped us because we can be very creative with, working with students. Like I have an Odissi student who is a good photographer too. So I encouraged her to take up photography as one of the credit courses and to formally pursue that, because when it comes to sustainability, I think dancers can learn much more than the performance part of it or the theoretical part of it. Let them learn skills. Let them learn to collaborate. Let them learn to contribute in various ways. So I ended up doing that also because in Mahagami or in Aurangabad city, we didn't have so much of infrastructure or resource persons in the city. Like we didn't have stage designers or light designers or content writers, journalists. So I ended up training my students to do all that. And eventually what has happened is some of them have found their calling, and they've realized that apart from dancing, they can actually do this also. They can do light designing for other performances, or they can design costumes, or they can write transcriptions of a conference or a seminar. So I'm just looking at the logistical part of it also, how to sustain dancers who have the dream to dance for many, many more years, and how education can in a way facilitate that kind of confidence and conviction in their learning. So this is how I have been trying to work with them. We are engaging ourselves in so much of discussion, discourse, exchange of thoughts, and there are also newer challenges that we are now facing when it comes to traditional way of training. And we do understand that in the current situation, it is extremely difficult to teach a performing art through virtual platforms. But I think artists are evolving in different manners. Like they are engaging themselves in more creative things, and this is in a way redefining the scope of dancing, because we are at the same time talking about dance in dialogue with media, dance in dialogue with history, humanities, sociology. I am also getting more and more interested in anthropology. And as Dr. Anne spoke about the community participation or the sustenance part of it. So I've been working on cultural ecology since a couple of years. And I do feel that these are areas where traditionally we did have a system of, nurturing, nourishing, and sustaining art forms. And somewhere down the line, we lost this phase or this aspect of dancing. I think it became a very performance art, a performative art, and we lost this dialogue with the communities. So I would like to, through education and through learning and through the parampara, I will be more excited to explore and re-examine the ways how we can again engage communities. Because that remains the core of the existence of an artist. We've had historically, we had temple dancers, or we had the folk artists. Now here in Maharashtra, there was a system that early in the morning, there used to be these storytellers, they are called Vasudeva, like we have the Bauls in Bengal. So they were just wanderers. They would sing, narrate, and wander, not expecting any return, but it was the community who took care of them, who wanted these art forms to thrive, to live, and to flourish. And that's how the tradition of educating them informally was sustained within the various layers of community participation. So I am getting more interested and also inspired to take it back to where it actually belonged, take it back to society, take it back to the communities, though we have niche audiences to watch our performances, we have the elitists coming over for the concerts or the festivals. But now, because of this new digital avatar, we are now talking aloud about dance. And this is an opportunity for us to now, in the coming years, after this COVID is lifted or is resolved or whatever, I think we all as dancers, I think our community is now more confident and more convinced with having more dialogues with people around us. We will look for more opportunities or more avenues. And I would like to create some of those around the places where I have been associated with. And let students also take the lead. I think this is going to be the new parampara. Let younger generation come up with newer thoughts, newer ideas, and let them also be pioneers in their own right. So I come from the younger generation of practitioners. So I have always felt that, yes, every new generation has newer dreams and newer ideas. And it's always important to listen to them, to re-educate yourself. So that's what I would like to take with me also today. Thank you.
So on the note of the younger generation, if I may request the two of you to share your thoughts on this process, right? Past, present, future. Again, your thoughts on the process. Shalini, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. The process is definitely, like, specifically for like a Mancha Pravesh, I don't think anyone would disagree with the fact that it's very rigorous. I don't think anyone can like dance for an hour without like immense amount of practice. But not only that, I think Tanisha and I both, like, we kind of really had to jump into it and really kind of get our like head straight on it, because it's kind of been a while since we've been able to like seriously dance like this. And I think we've both probably had to like find our own ways to like acclimate back into like rigorous Odissi dancing. And on top of that, we're both high school seniors in this very like crazy time. So it's been interesting to navigate that and like kind of figure out how we can like make like studies and Odissi practice work.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. This dance form is not easy, and training for it definitely like takes a lot of time, and it is very rigorous. I mean, there have been days where I could not like even get up the stairs because my legs were so tired from sitting in chokas for hours and hours. But there also have been days where after practice I was like, wow, I did that really well, and I was super proud of myself. And most importantly, one thing that I learned during this training process is that even like extreme trivial things need like determination and patience to like learn and to master that specific thing. Another thing that I learned through this process is time management. My awful time management has been fixed thanks to Odissi. But yeah, other than that, like I wouldn't change this process. I had a lot of fun, and I think it's always going to be something really important to me, this whole entire process, and especially like getting to dance with my best friend. So yeah, it was a wonderful process, and I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. So yeah.
Not for soccer. Maithili, I'll give you the last thoughts.
Yeah, so, well, first of all, just congratulations to the two performers, Tanisha and Shalini, for such a fantastic job, to Kostavi for working so hard to prepare them. I think you both have the great good fortune not only of being excellent dancers through your hard work, but also to have worked with a teacher who really encourages thinking and dancing together, right? And thinking about what the meaning is of what you're doing and the context in which you're doing it. So I guess I would just encourage you to take that with you. I think we need more conversations like this as our community has more performances like these, as it becomes something that is known not just within particular South Asian communities, but much more broadly. We need to be thinking about what we're doing, how we're presenting those things, what our goals and values are, and putting them forward. And I think this has been just a wonderful example of that kind of thoughtful work, the thought that shows through in the dance and the performance, I think in what I'm hearing from both of you today. So yeah, I mean, I think you're really blessed to have that dialogue alongside all of the practice and preparation you've been doing on the dance side. So I just encourage you to keep doing it. For sure, don't make this the end. I think you have so much more to offer, and I look forward to seeing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we conclude Mancha Pravesh Shifting Stages. Thank you.